Welcome to our segment on basic audio editing. Let's begin by creating some drum loops. I'm going to play the drums track. This segment right here looks pretty good. Let's position our left and right locators. Activate the cycle button. And let's have a listen by pressing play. You can adjust the positions of both of the locators during the auditioning of the segment. Now that we've finalized our selection, we are ready to cut. Activate the split tool, the little scissors. Click on the ruler, hold, and drag your mouse up and down. This lets you zoom in and out. This takes a little time to get used to. Cubase will let you zoom more than you would ever need to. Let me change the ruler from bars and beats to samples. As you can see, each segment of this line represents an individual sample. This slider lets you increase or decrease the amplitude. Remember, it changes only the graphical appearance. It doesn't affect the audio signal itself. Okay, our question now, where are we going to make our cut? As a general rule, make your cut in a place where these two lines are close to each other or intersect. The reason for this is to avoid any digital clicking. I'm going to cut right here at the beginning of the loop. And right here at the end. I did cut the end of the loop like this on purpose to show you how you can fix it if you happen to cut it in the wrong place. You can use the fade in and fade out functions here. Double-click here. The fade dialog window will pop up, and you can adjust the fade curve here. Click OK. If you happen to cut too much or not enough, grab the bottom corner and move it to the left or right. By grabbing and dragging this square, you can adjust the volume of this event. This volume adjustment will take effect before all inserts. You can see the current volume in this yellow rectangle and here on the event info line as well. After we're satisfied with our selection, let's audition it. Select the event, then select Transport, Loop Selection, or press Shift and G. It sounds pretty good. Now, let's insert a few more copies of this loop in order to create a longer drum pattern. Select the event, select Edit, Duplicate. Cubase will insert a new instance of the loop right after the original event. If you need more than one instance, select Edit, Repeat, and then specify the numbers of copies that you need, and click OK. All right, let's activate Snap Mode. Now, when we drag our loop, it jumps, and the beginning of the loop is perfectly aligned with the bar line. From this drop-down menu, we can change the grid type to, let's say, beat. Now our loop jumps between beats. You can also choose Use Quantize. The quantize type is set to 1/8 right now, and this means our loop will jump to only 1/8 of the step. To move our loop, we can use the nudge function as well. Right-click on the toolbar, Nudge Palette. These two buttons let you nudge forward and backward, and these buttons let you trim the left and right side. You can trim the event, parts of the events, or even a selection. Now let's check how we can create a snap point other than at the beginning of an event. I'm going to double-click on the event, and then I'll move the snap point right here. I'll change our grid type to bar, which makes things super obvious. Now our loop aligns with the bars right in this area. Let's modify our loop a little more. Double-click, activate the Warp Samples button, and let's stretch this part of the loop just a little. I'm going to put warp markers before and after this segment. That's to make sure that I don't affect the rest of this event. Now let's move this segment a little bit to the right on our timeline. This is a really useful technique if some part of your recording is a little off. This allows you to correct it. Again, I'm going to put warp markers before and after this segment and move this part just a little bit to the right. Okay, now we audition the results. To remove the warp markers, hold down your Shift key and click here. The Warp Samples button should be active. We'll be covering more on the sample editor later in this course. Now, let's create our own loop from events. I will use the Range Selection tool to select this range. Deactivate the Snap button. Press and hold your Alt key. Grab and drag the selection, and then release it. Cubase has created a new track for us, and we have our first event. Now I'm going to make a few cuts. I'll hold the Shift key to select both events, and then I hold the Alt key and drag them to the same track. I put the events in the order that I want them, and then I make the necessary adjustments. We've already covered fade in and fade out, but with these two events crossing each other, let's do a crossfade. Select the event, then select Audio, Crossfade. Or you can also simply press X on your keyboard. The Crossfade dialog window opens. You make your adjustments. Click Close. If you change your mind later, double-click on this area and readjust. Now we can create a part to group these events together. Select all events, then select Audio, Events to Part. Parts look different than events because they don't have volume and fader adjustments. Double-click on the part, and this will open the part editor. Here is where you manipulate events, just like in the project window. You double-click on an event to open the sample editor. Cubase happens to be a non-destructive environment. This means that after all our manipulation, we still have the same original audio file in its original condition. If we want, we can also undo everything we did in this tutorial. Simply select Edit, History. Select all of your actions and click Close. Now, what if I want to glue these two events together? I grab my glue gun and click. Oh, we have a small problem. The middle section, which I just cut out, has reappeared. Let me show you a way around this. Select the event, then select Audio, Bounce Selection, Replace. Presto, Cubase has created a new audio file. Use your glue gun, click, and we don't have this middle segment anymore. I see that I've got right here a digital click. Let me see how I can fix this. I'm going to open my sample editor and zoom on this area Activate the Draw tool and draw a line. And this concludes our basic audio editing segment.